You were talking about the hearing talking across the creek. On that first expedition we went on, um, Sullivan Creek, cross Sullivan Creek Road, then there's a section of woods there. Well, I got up there like a day early, and Aaron showed up later that night, and then he took off. I don't know where he went, so I was all by myself. And then he came back, after dark, and we both had our tents set up, and so I just spent the day exploring. I mean, since I was a kid, I loved to explore, so I took my camera and I'd walk out into the woods. Well, I started hearing talking, like somebody was having a conversation, and you got the sound of the creek like the sound is here, and we were far enough away at that campsite that we weren't right on the creek, so it wasn't super loud. But I could hear over the creek, I could hear this conversation, like people were talking. I thought, okay, well, maybe there's another campground up, because I hadn't been up there before. And so I started walking across the road through the woods there in the direction I was hearing the conversation, expecting to see some other campers, And I guess the next campsite from there, it's got to be half a mile or more. It's quite a ways up. So anyway, I ended up coming right up to the creek, and I could still hear the conversation within about 25 feet of the creek. And when I stepped out of out of the trees into the open, where anybody across the creek could see me, the conversation stopped. They stopped talking. But when I was hearing it, when I got closer to the creek, at first I thought, well, it's coming from the edge of the creek, and then when I got closer, it was like it's in the trees on the other side of the creek, up higher. And then, of course, that side of the creek, it's fairly level for a little bit, and then there's the hillside, that goes up. And but the conversation stopped as soon as I got to the creek, and I thought, well, I'm just hearing things, because the creek can fool you. I've been near creeks and I've heard music. That happened to you? Yeah, and it's like I'm hearing the creek singing. I'm hearing a song, and there have been times that I've been near a creek that has little waterfalls, and it sounds like sports radio, like somebody's talking about sports, how these guys do, in football games and other things, and so I had to pass it off as I'm just hearing things. But why would it suddenly stop when I got there, unless I was just too close to hear it? And as I walked away, I listened for it to start again, and it didn't start again. And so the further I got away, I should have been hearing the conversation again because of the noise of the creek, but I wasn't hearing it. And I mentioned it to Steve after you guys found that footprint.
Yeah.
And of course he told me a story that I don't know what legend it came from and what, like if it was from Alaska or where, but he said that they do that to lure you further into the woods. One of those Native American legends. Having a conversation. Well, you mentioned